Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you for joining us for this ARWO Liquid Knowledge webinar, Workforce Development in the Heartland and in your land. My name is Gina Veazey, and I'm with ARWO, and I have a few housekeeping items to share with you before we get started. First, our session is being recorded, and all attendees' mics are muted. All registrants will receive an email link to the replay, perhaps as soon as later today. And we'll have time for Q&A at the end of the session. Please log your questions as you have them by clicking the question mark on your screen. Now I'd like to hand it over to Glenn Marsleff of Delco Water to introduce our ARWO and our speaker.
Thanks, Gina. As she told you, I'm Glenn Marsleff. I'm the General Manager and CEO here at Delco Water. I'm also the past president of the Association of Regional Water Organizations. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to this ARWO Liquid Webinar Knowledge Seminar. One of the first things I want to do is give a shout out and a thank you to our key sponsor, CoBank. So thanks so much for their support today and their ongoing support of ARWO. For those who don't know much about us, our vision is to be the voice and knowledge exchange of regional water and wastewater organizations. We are building and have a great community which advance those interests both in Washington, D.C. and also within our own organizations by sharing knowledge. Our challenges in the regional water space are unique. We stretch across multiple jurisdictions, serve customers in rural areas, in urban areas, suburban, all the above, right? So we have all those challenges. And typically we find in many spots within these larger service areas, there's unserved or underserved as well. Regional water organizations can benefit from economies of scale, right? As we grow, we get more and more customers to build that better customer base and provides us the opportunity to be innovative. Oftentimes we're much more agile than our municipal counterparts. This can frequently result in lower rates for our customers, particularly when we compare ourselves to the rural systems and a stable balance sheet. So how can ARWO help you? If you need any help in any of those spaces, please reach out, let us know, and we'd be happy to set up a call with you. Moving on, I tell you, we want to talk a little bit about what's going on around the world. We want to acknowledge our organizations and all the residents in Florida that right now are bracing for Hurricane Milton, as well as those in North Carolina and all through the southeast down there that are still recovering from Helene that just hit here in the last 10 days or so, right? So very concerned about those people and all those in the paths of these extraordinary events. One of the reasons an additional reason for us to focus on that is the fact that we are planning on hosting our annual event, the ARWO Summit in the Tampa region in January of 2025. I have particular interest in that area. I served as a general manager of utilities in Sarasota, Florida for about 6 years, a little over a decade ago, and we were always preparing for the worst, routinely just getting ready for this massive storm. And fortunately, during my tenure down there, it always eluded us, went around the corner, hit somebody else, but they are right in the side of this thing. So my colleagues down there and throughout the Florida area, especially on the Gulf Coast, but throughout the state, our prayers and thoughts are with you. So Gina is going to put up the QR code, which will take you the opportunity if you can register for our 2025 event. Hopefully you can join us in Tampa St. Pete in January 27th to 29th next year. We might have to move out of the selected hotel, but hopefully we can at least keep it in that region served by that airport. At least that's our hope. Next up, it's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today. Kelly Graplar is the Deputy CEO of Iowa Lakes Regional Water in Spencer, Iowa. And she's going to talk about a very broad topic that affects us all, and that's workforce. She's going to share Iowa Lake's innovative and award-winning programs attract employees, including helping working parents, reaching out to veterans, students as well. How do you engage that next generation? In addition to that, talk about retention of those associates as they retain them. Kelly has more than 23 years of experience in water and wastewater, and she leads human resources, leadership, development, and other items for Iowa Lakes Regional Water. She holds a bachelor's degree in business with a concentration on human resources. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly. Kelly, have a great presentation. We'll see you at Q&A.
Thank you very much, Glenn. I think Gina's going to get the presentation here set up, and we'll get started. There we go. Okay, there she is. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, ARWO and Glenn, Gina. Thank you, everyone, for everything that you've done to put this webinar together. And also, I've been a part of ARWO now for a few years, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I've learned a lot from all the different rural water systems. And then also, it's always fun to collaborate from throughout the states as far as what we do and what are different things that we could do and how we help each other out. So it's been an absolute pleasure for me. For getting things started, as Glenn said, thank you for the introduction, Glenn. Really excited to have this conversation. It's a favorite conversation topic for me, and that is about workforce, right? That is definitely a challenge that all of us face, and I have some interesting things I want to talk to you about today, but it's going to get you thinking. And so to start things off, so the water and wastewater workforce industry does acknowledge that we are behind throughout the industry, and it's time that we make the changes, make the chess moves to entice the potential applicants to grow curiosity and interest in our game. There's so much that we can teach about the industry, and so much that we can learn as well while enjoying the experience along the way. We currently are within a culture shift here at Iowa Lakes Regional Water, adapting to a different way of viewing our workforce and our environment, utilizing staff skill sets and communicating with each other with civility. We're navigating in uncharted territories, and at least in our neck of the woods, I should say, creating both natural hesitation and excitement as well. So it is a process. It's going to take time. So I'll talk about that in the presentation today. To move forward with status quo, that is definitely something we're trying to avoid. We will miss out on so much opportunity for all. Our industry will suffer, and many are already recognizing the pain points that they're experiencing. I know a lot of small communities in our area who have lost their operators as far as not licensed anymore, and just trying to find people that are licensed to do the work as an example. I'm excited to keep talking and brainstorming the many opportunities right in front of us. We just need to be willing to be open-minded and give different a chance. Again, excited to talk to all of you. Wanted to just have one ask for all of you, and that is to be here prepared to be nowhere else during this presentation. And I'm excited to continue to have conversation at the end of this presentation. Next slide, please. So for starters, has it moved on to the next slide? Not yet, I don't think. She's going to get that figured out for us. Workforce challenges, that is something that we do have. There's 5 generations that are currently in the workforce. There's a silent generation, which is around 2%, and the baby boomers are 25%, and Gen X is around 33%. So right now we're looking at about 60% of our workforce are in those top 3 generations. The millennials are starting to come ahead. They're pulling ahead. I'm actually the first year of the millennials generation, holding about 35%. And then the Gen Z is at 5%. Thank you, Gina. So the millennials and the Gen Zs, you're looking at 40%, but it's growing as we have the silent generation and the baby boomers starting to going in more into the retirement phase. The millennials and the Gen Zs are coming in. They're coming in strong. One thing I want to point out here, and some of you may know this already, but it's definitely something that's really important that we keep in front of us, is that both millennials and Gen Z are very purpose driven. They want to know that where they work, that they have values that match their own, and that what is the purpose of that organization? What's the purpose of that company? What do they do? Now, that's an easy answer for us in this industry, and the more we educate and communicate that to potential applicants, the more value and make those roots grow deep that they'll grow and have within the organization and the company. So let's talk about Iowa Lakes Regional Water. I won't spend too much time about our company. I'm more than happy to discuss more with you at a later date if you're ever interested. So we actually shifted gears in 2021. I think if you could go one slide back, Gina, if that's possible. Our mission and vision statement is what I'm looking for. And so in 2021, we did make a shift. And so we decided, okay, it's time for us to grow or we will fall behind. Thank you very much. And so what we did is we met with our board of directors and discussed how it's time to create a strategic long-range plan. Our old plan was aged, and I honestly don't think we were even following it, to tell you the truth. And it was very confusing. It just kind of had a catch-all. And we needed direct path for us to proceed and succeed in the next 5 years and moving forward. And so we created our mission and vision, which, as you can see, is there on the slide. So the mission is very straight to the point. Our vision then also, communicates to the public as to why we're here and what our ultimate goals are. And one thing that I really like on here is that we talk about how we're looking at enriching the quality of life. How it's really important that the quality of life, what water and wastewater do for people, is something that we really wanted to make sure that our vision covered because it's very important. So here, this is actually our strategic plan. I won't go into detail on it, but this is a fiscal year 2025-2029 plan that we came up with. And we are currently communicating that with our staff members because, like I said, the purpose. We really need them to dive in, understand what our goals are, and then help us accomplish those goals in order to proceed forward. And also, we had also been one area in our strategic plan is public relations. We knew that that was an area that we were lacking and that we needed to tremendously improve on. And so that is an area that we are spending heavy time on educating the public. But at the same time, we also, in order to get to that point, we need to educate the staff and then also pull staff in that do truly believe in who we are and what we do so that we can succeed. So it does start with the employees ultimately with that. So looked back at some old Google reviews and said, oh, that's not good. We need to. Sometimes it's a disgruntled employee. Maybe it was a customer that just had a bad situation that popped up. Okay, this is something that we need to work on. You're welcome to go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So on our core values, that is something that is very important to us. So we have 5 core values, as you'll see in the slide. Safety is a big one. I think all of us can relate to that. And then reliability, communication. Oh, here it comes. I think the slide's moving slowly. Maybe get to the next slide. Anyway, so we have 5 core values that are very important to us, and we definitely want to make sure to communicate that to our employees as well as the public. Economical is important, of course, the financial side of things, and then integrity, reliability. So, and I mentioned communication and safety already, are all very important to us. So we have to really get, again, back to the purpose. We really have to get the individuals to fully understand the value of, oh, I think the poll questions has popped up already. We'll be getting to that here soon, I promise you. There she is. Thank you very much. So we're looking at really getting the employees to dive in and truly understand what these core values mean in order for us to be able to move forward. Now, on the slide, you will see the core values. So if you come into our office at the front desk, you actually look through the reception desk area through the hall, and what you see there, the core values, is actually on our back wall. So from every angle of the office, you can read the core values. And we really liked it to where you could see it through the front entrance. On the left side, it says Iowa Lakes Regional Water. Through the center says the core values, and our plan is to put the mission and the vision on the left side. And so really want to just put it up there in front and keep it in everybody's mind. And then we also do have it out in our shop as well, for all of our field staff to see that in huge letters up on a big wall. So definitely something to stay in front of everybody. All right, Gina, let's go ahead and do that poll. So, how many employees do you expect to retire from your organization in 2030? It's hard to believe that's just around the corner. All right, looks like we have about 10% or below is about 29%. So between the 10 to 20% seems to be the average. But let's see if there's any more responses. There we are, as you can see. So people are going into their retirement phase, or will be before you know it. So and it's also good to communicate and educate with your staff, to kind of get an idea of what their long range plan is, because some of them, you could be thinking, okay, they're not retiring for another 5 years. I've got plenty of time to cross train, but that 5 years will be here before you know it. So, or even 7 years. So definitely something to keep in mind, because again, they have a lot of experience, and that is where you can utilize them to be mentoring other people coming into the workforce. Of course, they themselves have some educating to do as technology is changing as well. So thank you very much for filling out your poll question. So on the next slide, this is where, for us, again, focusing on the employees is you matter. So we really want to put a lot of communication to the staff, and to make them feel that they belong, and then also staying very transparent, communicating with them. And I'll go over through this on some of the next slides, as far as how we engage our employees. Now I'm going to just show you a little something. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I assume everybody on the call has heard of that. I'm just going to hold it up here. This is something I do keep at my desk all the time. And so the hierarchy of needs is important for everybody. So sometimes we have employees who we really, obviously all of our employees, we want to be up here at the top, okay? However, it is difficult for some of them to get there because they have to accomplish these tiers below before they can get there. So for example, the bottom tier is your basic needs, okay, your psychological needs. That would be like food, water, warmth, rest, okay? Now I will say in our situation, which if you join the 2025 summit, we are going to be talking about the emergency response planning and risk and resiliency. And I will be discussing at that one as far as the experience we had here in Spencer, Iowa during the flood, and what that did to our organization and to our employees. Now, I will say that for the hierarchy of needs, we actually did have many staff who fell into this lower bracket. They were not getting water. They didn't have a place to live, and food, when it came to food, things like that, they had their main issues, their main needs that were not being met. And so at Iowa Lakes Regional Water, then we did our best of how can we help them meet those needs, for them to feel like they have a place to work. There were things that in their job that they needed to do to get other people water, customers of ours, but then also helping them feel like they do feel that they're going to be okay as they're grieving that process. And then the second movement is the safety needs. Does your employees feel secure? Do they feel safe? So if they have a coworker, or let's say there's a customer, or if they have a supplier, a vendor, or even a boss or supervisor who makes them uncomfortable, which could also include if it's retaliation, or if they're just upright rude to them, if they feel uncomfortable, then it's difficult for them to move on up the level to self-authorization, actualization, which would be they're meeting their full potential if they don't even feel safe at work. All right, now it's possible you might think all your employees feel safe, but then you might surprisingly find out that somebody, it's not something that people are comfortable about coming out with. So I'm just putting that out there. Hopefully all your employees do feel safe at work. And then the third one is the belongingness. So that's where the culture comes in. Everyone feels like they belong at your organization. The fourth one then is feeling accomplished. And then the last one is that reaching their full potential. So I won't spend any more time on this. I just wanted to point this out that you'd be surprised to find out how many of your employees may fall within these first few tiers. And in order for them to reach that full potential, they have to be able to have succeeded on these bottom ones. So that's the hierarchy you need. Okay, so thank you. So the next thing I wanted to mention on this slide is we did a survey with our staff and just said, all right, we just kind of put a bunch of stuff out there and just said, okay, talk to us. What are you looking for? What do you need? And I have to say, I'm still going through the survey, tearing it apart. But there are 3 things that were 100% every employee had indicated. And I should mention that we at Iowa Lakes Regional Water we have around 30 employees, so not a huge staff. However, our service area is the same size as Glenn at Delco's. Less employees, same service area size, less customers. So if that kind of gives you an idea. So we have about, I'd say, I think it was like around 1 to 2 customers per mile, if that kind of gives you an idea, about 2,000 miles of pipeline that we have in the ground. And then we have multiple sewer systems on top of that. So on the survey, when we sent that out, we come to find out that there's the 3 top things that all the employees look for. Every single one of them is 1, belonging through appreciation and recognition. So, and potentially, incentives or perks, things in there that can help them feel belonging. But most of all is talking to them, making them feel like they're appreciated. The second thing was they wanted their voices to be heard. So whenever there was any specific organization matters, especially if it had anything to deal with their job, they wanted to make sure that they were able to at least have their voice be heard and be at the table. And then the third thing is training and development. That is a huge thing that all of them have indicated. And that's something that on our end in the past, only certain people would maybe receive training and development, but something that we knew we needed to step up our game on. All right, next slide. So as she gets that pulled up, we'll have another poll coming up here real soon, I promise. Because I wanted to talk here about employee engagement is the next slide, basically, that talks about why it's important to have employee engagement. There she is. So as you can see, you have increased performance. There we go. Increased performance, high employee retention, okay, high job satisfaction, higher customer loyalty. That's a huge one. So as I told you before, in our strategic plan, long range plan, we need to focus on our public relations. Well, it's hard for me to focus on the public relations if my staff aren't on board, right? Because they're the ones who are talking to the customers. So it's really important to improve our customer experience as well. Yes. So just a few things to mention in there. Fun little pictures we have in there. So we have some pictures of staff being at a parade, volunteering for parade, staff receiving an award for, I think it was for fluoridation, that we've received multiple years in a row. And then actually in the upper right corner, our customer service staff, they actually received flowers from a customer, showing appreciation and thank you. And I believe that was around the flood time with everything that was going on. So that was very thoughtful that a customer actually brought flowers to our staff. So that made the girls' day. All right, on to the next slide. Now we are back to another poll. Appreciate you hanging in there with us while we get the slides figured out here. All right, so question number 2, which group do you actively recruit? Parents, veterans, students, or other? We definitely wanted to go with those 3 being that they are part of the title, of course, of this webinar. And it could be multiple too. It might not just be the one area. I'll give you a little more time. So far 46% have voted. We'll give you an extra little bit of time here. All right. Now, when we get to the questions, I like to hear from those that put others. I'd like for you to open up and chat because I love having a conversation where it's all around the room, having a discussion about um, who else you reach out to potentially as well. Thank you. So here's the results. It looks like other is the highest. So again, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Parents is right there in the middle, just under, I'd say, yeah, just over 40%. Veterans around the 30% mark. Students match the same as parents, and then so those interns bringing them in just fresh out of high school or college, and then high on the 70% of other. Thank you very much. My guess too is some of that might be word of mouth, or maybe there's other people, employees from other industries or other utilities that maybe are coming to work for your company, which is great to hear. They've got that experience. We've also dabbled in the Returning Citizens, which is the Second Chance initiative. We did dabble in that as well. That's been a challenge for us, I will say, because there's definitely a lot to it on the front end, as far as making sure that you have a successful plan in place. So for us, parents, word of mouth, coworkers, people that they know. Sometimes it's family members. Obviously, family, you need to be a little careful and cautious when it comes to that as well. When it comes to obviously you can't have like you can't have they actually in HR they recommend you shouldn't have a, a mother, let's say, or a father be a supervisor of one of their kids. Like that's a no-no, or like a siblings, right? So technically they can still work for the same organization. There just needs to be somebody in between those positions. So let's go on to the next slide. And then student engagement, colleges, and new perspectives that they're educating out there in schools. It was always good to come in. And there are students coming out of high school that are really driving into, they're ready to work. You know, they want to get right to work. So we actually ourselves have hired a couple new employees that work out in the construction field that did come from straight out of high school as well. And then also we do our scholarships. We've been dabbling in scholarships for college students in the industry to try to really put ourselves out there, and that we're in favor of what is going on with what they're educating, and trying to communicate with the colleges too of, hey, this is the kind of workforce that we need out here. What can you do to help us train them? We can give them resources as far as talking with DNR, and then also if they want to use our facilities potentially for some training that they could get on job training. So those are things we're still kind of dabbling into, but did want to at least let you know that. Let's see. So if we can go on to the next slide. So one thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of a hard topic, but I'm just going to go for it. Okay. So change is constant, and this is something that, thank you. This is something that a lot of us have experienced or know that change is tough when it comes to our employees. We throw something new at them and they're not ready for it, right? Or some are, but or even ourselves as leaders, change is hard. Like for myself, I've been in the industry, as Glenn said, over 23 years. And so it has taken some time to adapt. So for example, for me, when it came to learning, like I started off in the drafting world when I was hired here at Iowa Lakes Regional Water. And down the road, when I started to take on new duties, the drafting needed to go to somebody else. That was something that I was not quite ready to let go of, right? Because I mean, that was my baby. That was my project that I've been nurturing for multiple years and building. And so it took me a couple of years. It took me some time to trust, right, other people to take on those projects and allow them to grow it and even develop it into something better than what I would have even done. So that's change is hard. And so there's a lot of times many of us like to continue to do the tasks ourselves. when it's something that it's time for us to hand it off to somebody else so we can focus on other things. So change is constant. However, most people naturally resist change. So this is interesting. I love this topic. So um, why is people naturally resistant to change? Well, there's four things. People naturally want to conserve energy. So we are physically hardwired in our brain, in our basal ganglia, um, that habits equals less energy. Okay, so we like to conserve the energy. We also have survival instincts. So sympathetic nervous system act, gets active. So it's basically like a little short bursts of energy. And then fear, right? We all know that fight, flight, or freeze. And some people, you've probably literally seen them say, "What? You want me to use a tablet, not paper anymore?" And so people will naturally fall into those instincts. And then perceived threat. They prefer to stay within their familiarity, what they're comfortable with, and change causes resistance and anxiety as well. So you're probably thinking, okay, Kelly, why are you talking about change in the workforce? Well, in many ways, we have to acknowledge this, that whenever we are throwing something, a new curveball at an organization, at your current employees, because retention is huge, they're going to experience these things. Even if they don't say it out loud to you, they might still experience it internally within their family, within coworkers. And then also new employees coming in, they experience starting in a new organization such as yours is different for them, right? And it's scary. And so helping them through that onboarding process and helping them feel comfortable as fast as possible, and then helping them stay comfortable, throughout the whole uh, lifetime of their career is huge. And so, like I said, being familiar and aware that you're obviously prepare for change, whatever it is in your organization. For us, it was new software. A couple of times where the staff were they dug their heels in a few times as far as proceeding with the process, and then while they're in the process, the growing pains, right? You all experience it, so you get it. I don't have to explain it any farther. So acknowledging that, and then change for ourselves, right? Sometimes we want something so bad, but I have to be patient, that knows that this change is going to take a while. I gotta let them get through these experiences, um, through these steps in order for us to move forward. So change is different. It's an emotional response, so you have to also focus on their feelings as well as facts. Okay, so even if I pull in an intern and I ask a coworker, "Hey, can you work with this intern?" I mean, he's thinking about all these other things he needs to do at work. I don't have time to be training an intern. What's it in it for me, right? So what do I get out of this? And so as you can see there, I kind of had there on the slide. And so you have to educate your employees to help bring them on board on the project to help it be successful all the way around for the intern, for the company, and for themselves. Um, and then also there's a psychological aspect of change. So the Kubler-Ross change curve is emotional response. There's five stages of change. First, there's the shock and denial, and then there's anger, and then there's bargaining, and then there's depression, and then they finally process the information and go into acceptance. So as you could probably imagine, at ARWO Regional Water, we definitely experienced this when we had a CEO of 40 years who did things a certain way. And then we came in, we spent a year just kind of letting things sizzle. And then we started making some changes. And as you can imagine, some people were excited about it, but they were still scared because the unknown, right? Where are they going with this? So for us, it was very important to take on transparency, be open, communicate with everybody, express the why, where we're going, all on the front end. So like I said, change is a process. There's the pre-contemplation that a person will always have, the contemplation, and then the preparation, taking action, then the maintenance, and then there's relapse. So you always want to keep them in that action maintenance as possible, much as possible, and preparation. So just wanted to throw that out there. The last piece I want to say on the change is benefits to managing change. Well, let's see here. You have improved customer experience. You have great employee satisfaction, increased productivity, better risk management, enhanced communication, increased agility. So leaders, your job is to inspire and create the vision, and take extra time to explain the why to the employees. It's all a team effort, identifies expectations, builds trust, improves communication, and boosts the mood. All right, on to the next slide. We have one more poll coming up. All right, here we go. Which is most important to retention? Benefits such as health insurance or PTO, which is like personal time off, professional development, relationships with teammates and supervisors, or pay? I think you'll be surprised to find out the answer. We have 36% have voted so far. All right, I'll give it one more minute. You guys are all doing great. All right, so we're at 69%, and the majority, yeah, I'll let Gina do the results there so you guys can see it. Thank you. The majority, it says relationships with teammates and supervisors. I will say this is very important. There's studies that show having relationships, like coworker bonding relationships, as far as having like a buddy, really makes it enjoyable for them to come to work. Um, and ironically, they studies that have been done, PTO was the big win. That PTO is something that a lot of people really like, so they want flexibility on being able to take time off to do things for themselves, for home, family, medical issues, things like that, if they wanted the PTO. So PTO is one of the bigger wins, but relationships is actually just slightly behind it. You notice how pay is very low, and that actually is very true in studies too, that pay is something that when people sometimes come to you and they say, I want to get paid more, there's usually something more underlying below it as to why they're asking. And so what's important is finding out really, really what it is that they're wanting. Because we've even experienced with somebody will come to us and want pay, when actually we come to find out is they wanted time. Let's say it was the on-call process was a challenge for them because they're taking time away from their family. So the automatic request is, hey, if I get more pay, then maybe that will balance the, me taking time off work. Well, then come to find out that no, they still are, after 3 months or so, they're still not happy having to take time off work for taking time off home to go to work for like on-call events on the weekend or at night, things like that. So just something to put out there, but pay was on the studies also very low, and professional development was high as well. So thank you for sharing that, Gina. So on the next slide, I wanted to talk to you quickly about an area that we dabbled into within the last couple of years, and it's worked out really, really well. And that is Employee Engagement Committee. Okay, so we started out and we kind of called it a Employee Benefits Committee, and wanted basically like us making decisions on everything. It's like, oh man, it's a lot, right? You get a lot of needs and wants and making people feel valued, and I mean it's all attacking you and coming at you, and you're trying to run a business at the same time. And so what we decided is, okay, we'll take individuals from throughout the organization, if they're willing, to have a committee that talks about ultimately what we're looking for is they look at different wellnesses such as financial, mental, physical, if it's nutrition, if it's community involvement. So ultimately comes down to helping us help the staff feel like they're valued, they belong, that we care about them. Okay, so and what are ways of doing that? So they've helped come up with some great creative ideas for us to get there. And I will say, I'm just going to put this out there. We did change it to an employee engagement committee because come to find out that the word benefits was confusing for many, where I think some people might have thought, oh, that means I can come to this group if I have questions about policy. No, actually, that's different. We prefer that they come to management if they have questions on policy. And so what we ended up doing was
Kelly, can I just interrupt you just for a
Yeah.
second? We're obviously having some technical difficulties,
Okay.
and I'm going to toss it over to Glenn, but it's going to take just a few minutes. So I just ask
Sure.
everyone to bear with us.
Do you mind if I keep talking on the Employee
Not at
Engagement
all. That'd
Committee
be
while
great.
you guys do your thing? Okay. Thank you, Gina, for the
Perfect.
heads up. Yep, I appreciate that. Okay. And just so you know, that was slide 10, by the way, that we're on. Thank you, Gina. So regarding this Employee Engagement Committee, what we educated with the committee on is please come to us, if people come to you and ask questions specifically about policy, or if they are concerned about something, please help them get the courage to come talk to us. And we're not going to shoot them down. We're going to actually have a true, real conversation. And that's helped tremendously, because what I have learned is that when it comes to benefits or policy, if you're ever having a group of individuals within the organization that come to you with some sort of, let's say, policy preferences or drafts or something like that, if people are going to them instead of you, then it's in a sense kind of allowing an opportunity for saying that we're acceptance of a union type of thing. Now, I'm not saying that unions are bad. I'm just saying that they're good in certain situations, and we like to have that relationship, individual management with the staff. And so I'm just saying that by having a benefits committee and what they're bringing to you, it's just something to be aware of as a manager. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. So we always look at the committee gets together. They give us minutes on our typically like a monthly basis, and they come up with great stuff. So things to do in the summertime, things to do in the winter time, like events with the staff. Maybe we do like meals sometimes for like appreciation meals for the staff. We have quarterly challenges that we do. Like let's say this month. For this quarter, we're doing the October walk for Iowa. It's a big thing here. So every day, if you walk and turn in a calendar, then you get put your name into a drawing. We do it, management does it, but we don't actually put our name in the drawing. We say, hey, if I win, just put me back in the hat and draw somebody else. So it's kind of what we do there. We have appreciation week, so construction, operations, administration, we do something for them. These last couple times, I believe our CEO took them to, for construction week and for operations week, took them to the Axaholics, where they get to throw axes and eat pizza, and it sounds like they had a great time. And then we do thank you gift cards for their efforts once in a while. I know gift cards is something you have to be careful with, so that's something to be always aware of, like the intent of why you're giving them a gift card. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. So so mentorships is important. Mentoring others, having licensure opportunities. This is areas, again, your current employees for retention, and then also bringing in employees in. Flexibility and personal time off plan. So we are huge on flexibility. We actually have one calendar that we indicate on there who's all taking time off. As long as they're getting their work done and they know when the meetings are and they're there, we are very flexible on PTO. Phones are covered, and we have the crews to do the jobs. So that's, and at the same time, they respect us back as to when there's an emergency. Even those that were homes flooded, they still showed up and helped us out in the dire need that our customers needed them. So there's that loyalty, right? We do have minimum of 32 hours. So if there are rain weeks or if somebody has something take place, they don't have to use PTO up to 40 hours. 32 is the minimum, so they can still have their benefits. We also do what's called internal newsletters. I'm going to show this to you real quick. These are fun. So we just, with the staff, and then we usually give one to the board, is like, hey, what's going on with our projects, maybe how we're educating the public. We talk about, little focus area plans for that year, or so I usually do these quarterly with the staff. So those are kind of fun to hand out to them. Maybe some fun little games for them as well, and education to the staff. So here's an interesting one too, is we also do board meeting recaps. So when we do a board meeting, the next day we usually send out a recap to the staff just saying, this is what the board talked about, and keeps them in the loop, the communication. And we always say, if you have questions, please do ask. And then we have, so here's quarterly check-ins, of course, is always important. Not always that sit-down individual one-on-one performance reviews, but sometimes just going for a walk around the block with one individual, just say, hey, how's it going? You know, whatever they want to talk about. It could be work-related or not. It's just that time with them is very important to them. Sometimes we let them borrow equipment, like we did that obviously during the flood for staff to use so that help them with their needs. Oh, here we are, we're back. Thank you. If you could go to slide 11, that would be great. And then also, currently, actually, our CEO has asked all of the staff voluntarily if they could evaluate him. And we've done this last few years, and it's worked really well. And it helps him give an idea as to what are things that I could work on to better educate or communicate to the staff. Where am I lacking and where am I doing really well in? So when we do the evaluations with the board members, we also do it with the staff too. They're welcome to fill them out. They don't have to, but the nice thing is it does allow them to an opportunity to say something. Oh, there we go. So on culture, so yes, from start, when you are starting to your job to retirement, culture is a big area that we're really putting a lot of focus in, that we're really trying to get our employees engaged. And we have an employee who actually retired last year, and he's still on Facebook sharing things from when he worked here on Facebook. So that's huge, showing that he really did enjoy his job here, and still communicating that to the public, which is absolutely wonderful. Slide 14. Oh yes, you're right there. Perfect. Yep, right where you're at. I like this slide. So I'm almost done, I promise. So on this slide for trainings, it's very important that we train our employees. So we've putting the development and trainings that they've asked about. So we do different kinds of trainings. There's the outside trainings. So we actually brought this last winter, we brought a gal in who talked fierce training, fierce conversation training, and we spent like 3 half days on. So she taught us things like how to coach other people on conversations, eat the frog, right, which means tackle your biggest project that you keep putting off. You'll feel so much better. How to conduct a meeting appropriately, how to delegate, or how to take on work from somebody. And there's different like 3 tiers of delegation. If someone's not fully ready to let go, helping gain that trust to where eventually they will let go of the work. Transformation education. And then confrontation conversation. That's always a hard one, but it's important to have. I've had some employees go through that experience, and I'm very proud of them for doing that. And it's kept their relationships really good amongst the 2 individuals, and they're not getting everybody else in the company involved. And then take responsibility for your own emotional wake, and then let silence do the heavy lifting. I will say, as leaders, this is a big one that we really have to focus on, is being quiet and allowing the others to talk. We will learn so much by doing that, especially me. And then also various conferences. So if it's accounting, if it's human resources, billing software, the water wastewater industry, of course, itself, like the upcoming summit in January. And then internalized specialized trainings, such as safety trainings, hands-on experience trainings. Those are more like one-on-one, depending on that individual's needs. And then one that I really enjoy is ILX Regional Water training. So what we've been doing is educating our staff on our company specifically. So for example, we've done things like pie charts, we've done graphs of actual information, like let's say it's a budget, and then with the expenses, giving them just a general gist of this is where the money comes from and this is where the money goes. And then even on a project. So like on a project we had recently, it showed that the construction staff, that 80% of that project is them, materials, labor, and equipment costs. So showing the value, how important they are to the company and the project, and the success of for those customers get water. Our bylaws, just a few different things there that we've educated them on. And then transparency, like I said, questions and answers, always opening up to them. And then challenging them beyond the what and how as to why they're doing what they're doing. not just taking orders and doing their job, like fully understanding it. All right, if we're able to go to the poll, that will be the next slide. And then the last thing too is situational scenario sessions. So we've done that with the operators, which is a lot of fun. Throwing a random question out there, like what if this happens, what do you do? And finding out what do they do before they reach out to their supervisor, trying to educate them to becoming more self-sufficient and learning from each other through the process. So here's our last poll, I believe, which is industries do you compete with for employees? I think we're nailing it on the utilities. All right, looks like for the most part, utilities, manufacturing, construction, and other is the high. So thank you. Thank you, Gina. All right, on to the next slide. We are very close, I promise. I'm watching my time. So so volunteering is very important. So these are fun. We've done a lot of volunteering, so donations that we did to different organizations that our staff have done themselves. So for example, we had Take a Break, which is going on right now. The ag community, so co-ops and farmers in the area. We did over 300 trail mix bags that we delivered to the county that they're going to deliver to the farmers. So that's pretty cool. So we try to find things that are within our industry, right? Who are our customers, which is always fun. Children's Water Festival, I had to put that in there. You'll see Matt and his crew have done a huge success over the years with that festival. So it was really fun to get involved and help out with educating kiddos. They're really fascinated, I tell you what. Just give them the time. And then we did like healthy walks here in Iowa. We just did that actually beginning of this month. We walked around Stolly's little park there. So getting out and moving, right? Building those relationships amongst the coworkers is so important. And then next slide. So meetings and tours, Girl Scouts. We've taken the Girl Scouts to the plants to do tours. Annual meetings, so invitations. We told to people, hey, if you ever want to come to do a tour, you're always welcome to come. Blue Water Festival is a picture on the right. So we do education outside. Up at the lakes is a high area, traffic area. So we have a lot of customers, seasonal customers up there. And then on the left, actually, so we have a dairy farm that every other year, I believe, they do an educational. They just bring people in, they make food for things like breakfast, and then people get to walk through and look at their dairy farm. So we even volunteer for that as well, which is a lot of fun. So helping our customers out where they can be helped. We've done things like Family Fest, which is a local thing here in Spencer, Iowa. Again, any areas that we can educate the kids, youth, and the adults, because they're with them, right? They can't walk around on their own. We have Kiwanis is something that we have staff members that are members of. The SHRM local and state council, Walk with Ease, so people with like arthritis, walking with them. We bring them water bottles, things like that. And yeah, I mentioned parades, educating customers. The Day Without Water is October 17th. That's just around the corner. On to the next slide. And we are almost done. Here we are. And so it's important to bring that employee recognition. Again, this idea came from the Employee Engagement Committee. And so on anniversaries, we do a social post. And then we also do birthday posts. On both of them, we do get the approval from the employees because sometimes people are sensitive about that. So it's always important to keep that in mind when it comes to people's social media. Some people just don't want their information out there. So being respectful to that is always good. But it also does feel good too, right? To be recognized as well. And so employee community within, and then also organization gatherings. So in the summer and the winter, we always do something fun. And then if it's lunches or awards, I believe on their big years, like the 5-year, the 10-year, the 15-year, our CEO actually goes out to lunch with that individual, and then or breakfast, and then also we have like these little plaque awards that we give them for keepsakes. I think we're on to the last slide. So everyone should continue to elevate learning opportunities to gain new skills, knowledge, and abilities, especially from mentors and experts. And then in return, mentor any incoming and aged workforce as well. The aged workforce when it comes to technology, for example, or different ways of doing things, and then new people coming in, let's say out of the schools, for example. It's valuable to treat peers with respect, no matter their level of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and helps them feel that they belong. Ultimately, then we all succeed. And that, I'm ready for questions.
Thanks, Kelly. So we do have a number of good questions.
Oh boy.
Um, and one of them is, have you, I'm sorry, in what ways do you leverage the outside awards and recognition that your company has received?
Oh, yes. So thank you. So we've actually received, our employees themselves have done Working Parents Awards. So they themselves, the employee has applied for it, or I should say not applied for it, but given us recognition, which was absolutely wonderful. Not something that we ourselves are asking the staff to do, but it's good that they're acknowledging that we are making our best efforts for those working parents. We've had times where kids will come to the office maybe and hang out. We have some empty spaces in our area that they kind of turn into their own little office. Or if they need the time off to be with their kids, that we're very flexible that way. So we actually have received like a Working Parents Award for that, which is really cool. And then the Fluoridation Award, being involved with that through the state public health was always beneficial. The hiring vets. So there's a group that we work through that we earned that award, and then also we worked through the Second Chance. I'd mentioned that before too. So and then giving scholarships out to kids, college students. And so there's other areas that we're doing things. We haven't received awards, but there are ways out there that you can receive awards too, depending on your state and getting involved, and the more you educate and help your employees feel like they belong and they value, they will naturally surprise you in return and nominate your company for something. So
Great, thank you for that answer. We actually
mhm.
have a number of good questions in the queue, but I think because of our time, I'm
Yeah.
going to have us follow up one-on-one with the
Okay.
people who had asked. I will say there's one question about whether you'd be willing to share your presentation with the attendees in addition
Yeah,
to,
I would be
the,
very
the
happy to.
video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely.
Yeah, cool. Okay, great. Well, we'll take care of that. Glenn, if you could forward the slide, um, thank you so much. I so apologize for our technical difficulties today, but thank you to everyone who's participated in this, and thank you especially to Kelly and to Glenn for being troopers and helping to present this. Um, One of the things before you go, I want to make sure that we invite you to our next ARWO Learning Liquid Knowledge webinar, Training and Succession Planning for Resiliency. And it's going to be featuring ARWO past chair and active board member Bill Teichmiller, CEO of EJ Water. And you can use your smartphone to scan the QR code on your screen. And I just sent a text to everyone or chat to everyone with both of the links, one to the summit registration and one to the next webinar registration. So if you are not quick draw with your phone, like me, you can still get there. So anyway, that's it for today. And you can all look for an email from us with the replay of this, maybe yet today. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.